Many people start learning English with a dream in their heart. They want to speak fluently, understand songs and movies, travel the world, or maybe even live in another country. But after a while, frustration appears. Grammar rules get confusing. Vocabulary doesn't stay in your mind. You know the words, but when it's time to speak, your brain goes blank. You fear making mistakes, sounding silly, or not being understood. It feels like you're stuck. Like you're trying, but not moving forward. That's why one of the best ways to improve is through stories. Stories don't judge your grammar. They pull you in. You forget you're learning. You listen, you feel, and the language becomes alive. He never owned a pet. Not because he didn't like animals, but because his apartment was small and his days were quiet. He worked from home, mostly writing things no one read. A blog, some short stories, notes to himself. His life followed the same routine every day. Wake up, coffee, write, walk, dinner, sleep. The only real variation came during his evening walk. That's when the cat appeared. It was thin, gray, with uneven fur and a small tear in its ear. Not beautiful, not cute. But its eyes were sharp. It didn't meow or ask for food. It just followed him. Every night, from the corner of the park to the entrance of his building, the cat would stay a few steps behind him. When he turned around, it would stop and sit. Silent. Watching. At first, he thought it was a coincidence. Then, a habit. Then, something else. One evening, it rained. Hard. He stayed inside. The next morning, when he opened his door, the cat was sitting on his doorstep. Wet, but calm. He bent down and said softly, "Why are you here?" The cat looked at him. Didn't blink. He gave it some tuna. It didn't eat, just looked. From that day on, the man began to expect it. He even began to talk to it. Not expecting answers, of course. But there was something comforting about speaking out loud to someone, or something, that wouldn't judge. He talked in English. Slowly. He had been trying to learn for years, and sometimes reading aloud helped. So he spoke to the cat. "How was your day? You don't like rain, huh? I had a weird dream last night." He didn't know if the cat cared. But it stayed. And then one night, something changed. The cat didn't stop at the door. It kept walking. It looked back, as if waiting. He hesitated. Then he followed. They walked past the usual streets, into a quieter part of the neighborhood. Places he'd never paid attention to. The cat walked with purpose. No fear. It turned corners, crossed empty roads, climbed over a short fence. He followed, unsure why. They ended up in front of an old, closed-down building. He hadn't seen it before, though it couldn't have been far from his own place. The cat jumped through a broken window and disappeared inside. He didn't follow. Instead, he stood there for a while, looking at the building, then turned back home. But the next day, curiosity won. He returned during daylight. The building was quiet, abandoned. He peeked through the same broken window. Inside was an old bookstore. Dusty shelves, collapsed boxes, and in the corner, books in English. Dozens of them. He found a way inside. Careful, slow. The place smelled of paper and time. He looked around, touched the books. Many were classics. Some were children's books. All in English. He sat on the floor and started to read. For the next weeks, that became his new routine. Every evening, he'd follow the cat. Every evening, the cat led him to the bookstore. Every evening, he'd sit in the dusty light and read aloud. At first, it was hard. He stumbled on words. He had to look things up. But slowly, it became easier. The sentences flowed. His confidence grew. Sometimes, he saw the cat watching him from the shelf. Sometimes, he didn't see it at all, but he knew it had been there. One evening, he brought a notebook and started writing in English. Not perfect, but honest. He filled pages. He wrote about his day, his thoughts, and the strange gray cat that changed everything. And then one day, the cat stopped coming. He waited. He walked alone. He stood by the window of the bookstore. No cat. He felt sad, but also thankful. Because somehow, that silent animal had led him to a place, a habit, a version of himself he hadn't known before. What did he learn? He learned that progress in language doesn't always come from lessons, it comes from practice. He learned that sometimes the best way to learn is to speak without fear, even if your only listener is a street cat. He learned that following something, someone, without knowing why can lead you to something you didn't even know you needed. We upload true or true-inspired stories like this every day, to help you learn English naturally. Come back tomorrow for more. If this story helped you, maybe share it with someone else who's learning too.